Gliscor got recently banned from the Gen 9 overuse tier on Smogon singles, after being an OU staple for many generations. With Gliscor's newly found access to the move Spikes, it quickly became the best spike setter in the metagame. Since the start of the generation, hazards have been very easy to set up, but difficult to remove. However, Gliscor took this to a whole new level, making spike setting teams unbearable to play against. Gliscor is a spike setter that can set up multiple layers of spikes with ease on the majority of Pokemon in the metagame, while being very difficult to stop. And when it did get up those spikes, it was nearly impossible to remove them thanks to the limited reliable hazard removal. Many actually blame Gholdengo for this, and it is obvious to see why. Gholdengo's ability Gliscor can block Defog attempts from the likes of Corviknight, whereas its Ghost typing blocks Rapid Spin attempts from Pokemon like Great Tusk. For this reason, people find it odd that Gliscor was looked at first before Gholdengo, especially with this Pokemon being controversial since its release. But I'm here to tell you that while Gholdengo is a controversial Pokemon, it has barely anything to do with Gliscor's ban, and Gliscor would have been banned even if Gholdengo did not exist. Before you race to the comments to tell me why I'm wrong, let me explain why this is the case. Let me know your opinions after. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I'm curious to see. So I want to first off start by saying that I agree with the Gliscor ban, and I think that Gholdengo should have been banned already like a long time ago. It has been a controversial Pokemon for a long time. But yeah, with that being said, let me actually explain why Gliscor has been banned first and not Gholdengo. So the Smogon OU Council did a survey. You could, let know your opinions about certain Pokemon in the metagame, and Gliscor had the most amount of votes, or the highest number of votes. It's like you could vote like a number out of 5. Gliscor had like a 4 out of 5 if I remember correctly. Gholdengo was not as high. So Gliscor is being looked at first because it has a higher response rate. That's why Gliscor got suspect tested first before Gholdengo, just to clear that up. And the OU Council actually has nothing to do with this. It was a suspect test. The people said Gliscor is the most problematic Pokemon, and the people voted for Gliscor getting banned. So that's just something I want to clear up first. Now, why am I saying that Gliscor would have been banned without Gholdengo? Now, first of all, let's get a little over why Gliscor got banned. I already said, but like this Pokemon, it's a very good spike setter. It's very tough to actually one-on-one, and it can set up spikes on the majority of Pokemon just in their face. Very easy to set up multiple hazards. This set was the most common set you would see. You also had like variants like I prefer specially defensive, but physically defensive was the most common you would see. And you also have like variants with knockoff and U-turn, stealth rock. But this is like the most common set you would see on a Gliscor. Get very easily stalled pretty much anything. You have Earthquake, powerful move, of course. And Toxic can very easily wear down any Pokemon that switches into it. Only Pokemon immune to Toxic are Steel and Poison types, which have Earthquake to hit those for super effective damage. And you have Protect to stall out those Toxic turns, get more chip on the opponent, force them to switch out while you are healing yourself, by the way. I want you to know you're healing yourself passively with Poison Heal and Toxic Orb, of course, while you are stalling out Toxic Chip on your opponent. Then you may be forced them to switch, heal another 12.5%, and then you can protect again, another 12.5%. You cannot wear this Pokemon down. It's immune to spikes itself, which means it's not a victim of this spikes setting BS. You cannot cripple it with a status, you cannot cripple it by knocking it off. You cannot wear this Pokemon down. Very tough, while this Pokemon is able to wear your whole team down, and it's very difficult to actually take it on one-on-one. Even a Pokemon that can very easily wall it, like Corviknight, it struggles to actually take it out. Okay, so let me get on my point. Why Gholdengo is not responsible for the ban. So, actually, a lot of teams on high-level tournaments, a very common team I'll actually show you was a boot spam team. It was this team. As you can see, there's not even a Gholdengo on here. And yet, Gliscor was a problem still. So Gholdengo was not there, and Gliscor was still a problem. Now, why is that? Well, it is true that Gholdengo enables Gliscor's hazard stacking even more. It doesn't need Gholdengo to keep up those hazards. Let's take a look at some common hazard removals, right? Now, if you type here Defog, we filter Defog. You can see the only Pokemon in the OU tier with Defog is Corviknight. If you go to UU and RU, even RU, you have some niche options. The Corviknight is the most common defogger. Actually, pull all of these Pokemon up. So you have Corviknight. You would rarely see Mandibuzz as well. You have Weezing Galar, which also has a niche in the tier. And I guess I can pull up Halucha as well, I suppose. None of these defoggers can actually beat Gliscor except for Corviknight, maybe. Yes, you can defog those spikes away, but Gliscor can beat those defoggers one-on-one while just setting up those spikes again. It's not difficult. Let's start with Corviknight because this is the only OU rated Pokemon with defog. Corviknight actually doesn't even run defog a lot of the times anymore because of Gholdengo. So you can solve that by Gholdengo. But I said I'm not gonna include Gholdengo. So let's assume the team doesn't have a Gholdengo. This is the only Pokemon that can actually beat Gliscor on a defog / spike one-on-one. Because of pressure, it can stall out spikes attempts from Gliscor and defog those away. So I'll give it to Corviknight. It can beat the spike setting Gliscor. However, it will not be able to actually KO Gliscor. Brave Bird will not do a lot to a physically oriented Gliscor. You cannot KO it. So yes, you can remove those hazards. You will be able to stall out spikes thanks to pressure, but you cannot actually KO Gliscor. So I'll give to Corviknight. It's the only Pokemon that can actually beat Gliscor as a hazard remover. But do you really want to be using Corviknight on every team? Doesn't sound that fun to me. Then we have Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz is a less commonly seen defogger, but it is an option, and it cannot beat Gliscor. Gliscor can just toxic Mandibuzz and just stall it out. Yeah, you go for defog, it just sets up spikes again until you're at low health, and you have to either roost or switch out, and Gliscor will just continue to set up spikes. Mandibuzz cannot do anything. Foul Play will do little to anything to it. Gliscor just be able to heal that up with Poison Heal. It does run Terra Poison, and I'm pretty sure that's specifically for Gliscor, so you don't get poisoned. And I think that with the high defense Mandibuzz has, you will not be able to get to it KO'd by Earthquake. But it might be a 3-hit KO, and you're forced to roost anyway, so that doesn't help either. And you're forced to use a Terra for that too, let me mention that. So Mandibuzz cannot beat Gliscor. Then we have Weezing Galar. Now Weezing Galar is not even a great option anyway. It has a specific niche. Now, commonly you would see this. Neutralizing Gas allows it to disable Gliscor's Poison Heal. And it has Defog, of course. However, if you're using Neutralizing Gas, you don't have Levitate, which means you will be hit by Earthquake. If you are using Levitate, you can, of course, very easily wall Gliscor, but you're not doing anything back. You can taunt and stop it from using spikes, but that's literally it. But Neutralizing Gas is the most common thing you would see anyway. Aside from that, I mean, this Pokemon doesn't really do a lot. So that comes back to my point. You really wasn't be using Weezing Galar on all of your teams just to counter this specific Pokemon from setting up spikes. You don't even KO it. You only prevent it from setting up spikes. We have Halucha. Halucha is not even a good defogger, but I'm gonna mention it here anyway. Gets beaten by Toxic, Stall. So there's that. This is like a defogger that can go through Gholdengo, so there's that. But this niche is not very good. So I don't even know why I'm talking about it. Okay, those are all the defoggers. So Then we go to the rapid spinners. You can see Great Tusk is the only Pokemon with rapid spin in the OU tier. For fun, I'll also include Iron Threads, but you're gonna see where this is going in a little bit. First of all, Great Tusk is walled by Gliscor. You are forced to use Ice Spinner on Great Tusk to actually have a chance against Gliscor. There's no other way around it. That being said, physically defensive sets will still not take a whole lot from Ice Spinner. It does like a good chunk, of course, but you're not 1-hit KO'd. And yes, Great Tusk can beat Gliscor with Ice Spinner, and it can remove the hazards with Rapid Spin. But Great Tusk does not appreciate taking a Toxic. If your Great Tusk takes a Toxic, there's the same story. You will get stalled out by Protect plus the Toxic Chip, while Gliscor is healing itself up, and if it does need to, it has Terra Water, which means Ice Spinner will not do a lot anymore. And yeah, you can now hit it with Headlong Rush or Close Combat or Earthquake, whatever you're using. But it's not gonna do a whole lot anyway. So tada! Rapid Spinner does not beat Gliscor. Do you see here why you don't need Gholdengo to beat these Pokemon? Gliscor can do it on its own. That's what I'm trying to get across. Gliscor can beat the hazard removers on its own and just set up the spikes again and again and again. With Iron Threads, I don't really think I need to say a whole lot here. Earthquake to the face, 2-hit KO. There's not a lot to say here. You also have like other hazard removers like Cinderace, Earthquake to the face. Fireball does not do a lot back. Gliscor also does not really care about setting up spikes again, even if those do get core changed. So there's that. I mean, a lot of teams with Gliscor on it would be using heavy duty boots a lot anyway, so it doesn't really care about core change. So like I said, it just set up spikes again. Then we have stuff like Mousehold, but that's how do you spell Mousehold? Mousehold is very niche already, and even then it doesn't really beat Gliscor too. I think it will be 2-hit killed by Earthquake. Might be wrong, but I think that's about right. So that is why Gholdengo is not the problem with Gliscor's ban, and you should not blame it for it. So that's my thoughts on the Gliscor ban. I agree with the ban. However, I think Gholdengo should have been banned a long time ago. Those are my closing thoughts. Let me know your opinions down below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.